want to be a champion, you need to train like one. I'm Georges Saint-Pierre. Welcome to the explosive power training workout.
5, 4, 3.
Key is to be able to explode at any moment during the fight. No matter if it's at the end of the round, the beginning, you're able to give that extra push.
Go!
Yeah, these exercises, you don't have to pace yourself at all. You let it all out from the beginning to the end. Try to reach it up to the sky.
This is your chance to train with me, Georges Saint-Pierre.
Hi everyone, I'm Georges Saint-Pierre. Welcome to my Rush Fit warm-up. This program has been designed by Eric Owens.
The Rush Fit warm-up is a multifaceted warm-up that uses only body weight motions and allows you to work every muscle of your body in a functional manner to get you ready for the work to come in the rounds. So let's not waste too much time, guys. Let's go and get started here with a shoulder width stance, and we're just going to do some torso twist. So as you notice, I want to get my elbows up about shoulder height. They can dip down a little bit, that's okay. And I pick a good pivot point on the ground. I want to rotate back and forth. Imagine that my elbows, if there's a line, just about going about 180 degrees, if there's a sphere here, right? I don't want to go too far. I don't want to go all the way around here. I don't want to injure myself. Because remember, we're just warming up. We're trying to get the body loose, core temperature up, so we don't injure ourselves, and we're ready for the work to come.
The body is like an elastic. If you try to stretch an elastic when it's cold, it's gonna snap. If you try to stretch it when it's warm, now you're gonna be able to play with it.
Now we're doing each exercise for 60 seconds. So right now we have about 10 seconds left, and then we're gonna switch and go into our next exercise, which is a side bend. Let's keep going though, guys. We have about 5 seconds. All right, good job. So now here in our stance, we're just gonna lean to one side, kicking our hip out, reaching over, then going to the other side. This is a side bend, and what we don't want to do is we don't want to bend forward and then over. We want to keep our body stacked, meaning knee, hip, shoulder, everything in alignment. We let the hip kick out to the side and we reach. This is going to be stretching the muscles of the hips and of the lats, and this is a very important movement pattern. In most functional fitness and in fighting, you have to be able to move side to side as well as forward and backwards.
Like every other exercise, you start slowly and you try to pick it up as time goes on.
Now we have about 20 seconds left in this. And also work at your own rate. If you find you're starting to fatigue, the form's starting to go away, step back, maybe take a few deep breaths, and get back at it. 10 more seconds, guys.
Warm-up is very important. It prevents injuries and it allowed us to have our full range of motion.
Okay, great job. Now let's turn and face this direction, and we're gonna come down onto our fingers, walking out into the plank position, and we're gonna walk our feet up to our hands. You just turn, switch directions, and go back in the other direction. This is a great way to stretch all the muscles on the back side of the body. We're also activating the core. We're starting to get things a little bit, the difficulty is increasing here now. So you might find that your body temperature is increasing, that's good. You should be starting to sweat probably around this point, maybe within a couple more exercises. The difficulty, the complexity is going to increase. And one of the things you might notice, so Victoria, if you can, let's do a modification. Let's do a bent knee modification. So Victoria happens to have great flexibility, but if her flexibility wasn't so good, she's going to come up like this. She's going to kind of tuck under, and she's going to lower down with a bent knee position. That's going to allow her to get down there on the ground, walk herself out, and as she walks her feet up, she'll also do it in a bent knee position. All right, great job, Victoria. Okay, about 5 more seconds, guys. Let's try to get one more. Okay, now up and standing, we're gonna take a move from capoeira, okay? We're gonna do the jingo. We're gonna go side to side, so it's like a backward lunge. We bring one hand in front, so yeah, your defending hand up a little bit higher, George, come up in front of the face, and we go side to side. This is a great move about fluidity. Basically, it's a backward lunge. We go side to side, and capoeira has some very effective techniques, and this is one of the base moves of capoeira. I'm sure none of us are very good at it, but still a fun exercise, and it's a great variation of a lunge.
Capoeira, it's a martial art from Brazil. It's also a style of dancing.
Yeah. And this is one of their base motions. It's a great way to warm up the body. Moving back and forth. We have the coordination here. We're lunging back with one leg, then back with the other. About 10 more seconds to go here, and then we're going to do our walkout push-up. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now here, shoulder width stance. We're going to lower down, squatting. We're going to walk out into the full push-up position. Hands underneath the shoulders, lower down, then come back up. Try to stress getting a full range of motion here. So you squat all the way down, get your hands into the ground, you walk out till you get your hands underneath your shoulders. You don't want them far back, you don't want them too far forward. A good alignment, lower down, chest to the deck, press all the way up, then back into standing. Okay, now we're about halfway into it, guys, so 30 more seconds. And you'll notice as when they come back up into the standing position, we want to make sure our heels get on the ground before we stand up. And let's check out Victoria's form here. So if you start to fatigue a little bit, it's okay to lower down your knees. It's also okay to restrict your range of motion if necessary. If you can't lower all the way down, what you don't want to have happen is lead with your head or collapse in the core. You want to keep the core activated at all times. Maintain good alignment, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. Okay, now back in the standing, guys. We're going to come here, feet together, and lateral lunges going side to side. Try to imagine your feet are running down parallel lines here. We don't want our toes pointing too far out or too far in. When we take our step out too, we want to sit back into our heel. Notice how the trail leg stays straight. The lead leg is a leg that bends. The hands raise up as a counterbalance, and that's also activating the muscles in the shoulders, giving us a full body warm-up. Remember, functional training is about using all muscles of the body, not just one or two. Halfway there, guys. And if you notice, they're not working at a breakneck speed. The speed is enough to make sure that they're working, but yet this isn't really a workout yet. Remember, it's a warm-up. We're just getting the body warm and loose. If you're finding you're out of breath and you're about to pass out, you probably need to slow down a little bit and do a little bit less repetitions. Find your own speed and figure out what works for you.
It's important to make the blood circulate everywhere, in every muscle, in every joint of our body, to prevent injuries. You know, it's very important.
Okay, now here in our stance, let's lower it down. We're going to walk out, and we're going to do our push-up with a lateral hold here, okay? So we're going to come up, a lateral plank. We lower down to the push-up and back out. All right, guys, let's get on it. Walk out, and once you get out into that push-up position, you're going to maintain that push-up position. So they're all the way down, you open up, you rotate. So notice how they rotate on their feet completely. They rotate. Then after they hold a 5-second hold, they lower back down. Good. And if you find that a 5-second hold is not really challenging, try to hold it 10 seconds. Try to hold 20 seconds. Try to hold 30 seconds. Do the best you can. But 5 seconds usually does the trick. And the key is you don't want your core to sag. You want to keep your hips up in the air. That's going to activate your obliques. Now, Victoria, when you lower down, if you can't do a knee push-up, so lower back down, up down to your knees. Then you're going to come up, and then raise off your knees. Yeah, so that's totally acceptable. You can lower down to your knees in order to do this. Okay, excellent. Now let's walk back up into the standing position. And that's going to set you guys up in the perfect position for your air squat, okay? So as you're here, you just want to lower down, thighs to parallel, hands up as a counterbalance, come back into standing, all the way up, all the way down.
Already start breaking a sweat now. That's a good thing.
Now if you notice, key things here, their knees aren't going too far forward. The knees initiate the motion, but then they start to sit back and down. They don't round here at the back and collapse to keep themselves upright. If you start to collapse, you probably need to shorten your distance, shorten the depth of your squat. You want to push down into your heels. You want to activate all the muscles in the posterior chain, your hamstrings, your glutes. Good core activation, proper alignment of the spine. And there again, you're not trying to do as many reps as possible, you're just trying to do good repetitions, full range of motion. About 15 more seconds.
Breathing is very important too. Inhale by the nose, exhale by the mouth.
Okay, excellent work. Now, let's walk out here, okay? And as we get down here, we're gonna get in the quadruped position, meaning I want my hands underneath my shoulders and I want my knees underneath my hips. A wide enough base so I have stability, but not too wide. Then I'm gonna go opposite knee to elbow, extend, hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then back in. We're gonna stay on the same side. Now stay on the same side, everybody. So you're just gonna switch opposite knee to opposite elbow. 3, 2, 1. Keep going, in and out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more times. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let's switch sides. So get your stance in place, proper base, and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent work. Now let's come around to a lying position, lying face up, okay? And now we're gonna do our straight up, okay? So we're pulling our toes back towards us, hands are overhead. We're gonna try to sit straight up and touch the ceiling here, okay? And then we're gonna lower right back down, right when the hands touch, right back up. We're gonna finish off with 1 minute of this, and that will complete our warm-up.
Remember that this is not a race, this is just a warm-up. The importance of this is the form. And it's not the repetition, it's not the number of repetition. It's to be able to break a little bit of sweat and ready to go be ready for a hard workout.
That's a very good point, George. And if you notice, George is sweating. Everybody here is sweating. It's a difficult warm-up, but yet everybody's able to talk. Everyone's able to still interact. They're not at that point where they're filled with lactic acid. We're not working out yet. Just getting everything loose and ready. About 10 more seconds. 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job, everybody.
That completes our warm-up, and now we're ready to attack the real workout. Congratulations, everyone. Hi everyone, I'm Georges Saint-Pierre. Welcome to my explosive power training workout. This is a plyometric training designed by my trainer, Eric Owing.
What plyometrics are is basically, it's a form of, it's called stretch shortening cycle. So what you're doing is you're basically looking at the muscles like a rubber band, you're stretching it and snapping it back. So although the exercises that we're doing, they might appear to be not so intense on the outside, but once you give them a try, you're gonna realize that we're not doing it in a typical manner, going slow. Everything's explosive. So you're gonna see lots of jumping, lots of exploding with motions that are very quick. And we're trying to tap into that stretch shortening cycle so that we can be much more explosive in our training. It looks like you could do a lot more reps, but the whole idea behind this is we want quality reps, not quantity. Okay, the first round is sort of like an extra warm-up beyond the warm-up that we did. It's lower intensity, priming the body for the other rounds, but the first round is very difficult. So let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's go and get started here. Feet together, palms by the side, and jumping jacks. Now the key thing here is just to keep yourself moving and don't go too fast. You're gonna notice throughout this workout that we're taking a little bit of a pause in between a lot of the repetitions. That's to kind of store up our energy and to be able to put more force into each movement.
You will feel your calf burning pretty soon, I guarantee.
Okay guys, now we're gonna go opening and closing right here. Some people call these seals. It's like you're closing your hands in front of you, then opening up. Nice and wide. And find a pace that's suitable for you. If you have to slow down a little bit, that's okay. Remember, you're not jumping high, it's just quick feet, okay? In and out. George, a little bit wider there if you can.
Yes, sir.
Try to keep the arms straight too, not bent elbows. Yeah, there you go. Good. Okay, and now the crossovers. Crossing over arm and leg. Good. Each one of these rounds is 30 seconds. I'm just going through this circuit one time. Okay, excellent. Okay, about 10 more seconds. Then we're
Keep
gonna
pushing through, everyone. Almost done, and we change movement.
3, 2, 1, front and back now. Alternating arms, sound like the same motion as running. Remember, we're just warming the body up for all the explosive training that's about to come. This is low intensity. Although your heart rate might be going up, the intensity is relatively low. Okay, about 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and ice skaters. Touching to the outside of the foot, going side to side. Okay. And Mike, if you can, try to touch down each time. If you guys have to slow down the pace a little bit, that's fine. Nicely. Try to get those toes pointing straight ahead though. That's it. Good. Okay, guys, 3, 2, 1, and then the stance, okay? Now we're gonna come here. Now the tempo is gonna slow down a little bit, but we're gonna explode more. So now a jump squat, land, stand, and go again. Don't do too many repetitions, just explosive repetitions. Try to put a cap at about 8 repetitions maximum. If you get as little as 3 to 5, that's okay. Okay, 5 more seconds, guys. Let's try one more rep. Okay, now in stance, alternate bounding. Just like I'm running, but notice how I'm popping off my drive leg. My knee comes up, my counter arm comes up.
Explosiveness, guys. Try to reach it up to the sky.
This is one thing you'll notice George has incredible explosive power. And this is the way you get it, plyometric training.
It's one of my favorite workouts.
Okay, about 5 more seconds. Then we're going right back into the ice skater. Okay, and down to the ice skater now. Remember, reaching to the outside of the foot, that's your base. Nice, guys. About 15 more seconds. I imagine you're probably getting tired at home. That's okay. It's natural. This is low intensity, but you'll find you still fatigue. A lot of lactic acid starts accumulating. Okay, guys. 3, 2, 1. It's all right, George. Remember, don't have to be in a rush on this one. It's more about power. And jump squats.
Try
Jump,
to touch the sky.
land, then drive again. So notice I'm not doing this. I'm actually stopping and then exploding again. That's for a reason. We want to get as much explosive power as we can. Okay, guys, let's shoot for 2 more. Good. Like I said, 8 repetitions is the max you want to do when you're 30 seconds here. All right, great job. And alternate bounding 1 more time. This one you can get a little bit more reps, but you're not in too big of a rush. Good. Excellent, Lisa. Nice, Mike. Okay, guys, let's try to reach for the sky now. Last 15 seconds, try to explode up there. Really get the body ready for what's about to happen. It's going to start getting intense in round 2.
Almost
5,
done. Let's go.
4,
Push through it.
3, 2, 1. Time. Okay, guys, excellent job. So that's round 1. As you can see, we have the heart rate up, we're sweating, and we're ready to go for round 2.
Absolutely.
How you feel, George?
Feels okay. It's hard. First round sometimes is the hardest one because we have to catch our
Kind of flush
we have
the
to
lungs,
catch
right?
our second wind. And once it's done, we're ready to go again.
Okay, guys, here we are now at round 2. What we're doing is basically the same as round 2 in the first strength and endurance workout, but it's a plyo version. So that means we're focusing on less repetitions, more explosion, okay? It's pretty similar in what we're doing, but everything's explosive. So notice I'm putting a rep cap of about 5 repetitions. We're probably going to keep it at 3 here because everybody here is pretty explosive. If you're not so explosive, you can do a couple extra reps. But for the most part, try to explode, relax, kind of recharge, and get ready to go again. Okay, everybody ready? All righty. And go. Jump squats. Land, stand, reset, and go. Rep 2. Good.
Everything you got, guys. Everything you got in those repetitions.
And the pause in between is not by accident, guys. Let's get ready and go. 3. Okay, get ready. Now we have squat thrust with a tuck jump. Okay, and go. Land, relax, recharge. Get ready and go. That's it. Notice how high George gets every time he does it. Okay, let's get ready. One more. Go. Okay, guys, now lower down. Plyo push-up position, okay? Get ready and go. Excellent. Okay, and back in position. Go. Excellent. And one more. Let's go. Explode. Go. Okay, now lower down in the prone position, guys. Now we have the plyo pop-up, okay? Let's go. Belly down. We're going to pop up and go. 1. Good. Back down. And 2. Okay, good. Back down. And one more. 3. Go. Okay, now we're going to put it all together, okay? Plyo burpee. Let's go. Starting off with that jump, back, boom. Let's go. 1. Get ready and go. 2. All right. And last one. Go. 3. Excellent. Okay, guys, shake it out real quick. Let's get ready. Starting over again. Our jump squats, okay? And go. No, not a tuck jump, George. Just a jump squat, okay? Just a jump squat. And go. One more. And go. Okay, nice. Now, squat thrust with a tuck jump. Okay, you guys ready? And go. That's it. Jump high every time. Okay, go. That's it. Explode. One more. Get ready and go. All right, down in the push-up position. Let's go, guys. Let's get on it. 3, 2, 1. Explode. 3, 2, 1. Go. 3, 2, 1. Go. Okay, prone position. Get ready for the pop-up now, okay? Now it's lying down, belly down, and go. Pop-up. Good. And back down, guys. And go. Good. One more. And go. Okay, now we have our burpee, okay? Let's go. Starting off with our jump squat, then we come down, and a tuck jump. Go. Yep. And go. That's good, George, but lower down, chest to the ground, okay? And go. Okay, in stance, we have our jump squats, okay? Let's pick it up a little bit now, guys. I know we're getting there. It's getting fatigued. Let's explode, okay? Go. Jump. And jump. Jump. Okay, squat thrust with a tuck jump. Go. That's it. Go. Go. Okay, get down in that push-up position now, okay? Let's go. Plyo push-ups. And go. And go. Okay, and go. Lying down now, okay? Prone position. Let's go. And pop up. That's it. And back down. Get ready. Go. All right. And one more. Go. All right, great job, guys. Now let's get ready, all right? This is where we're going to put it all together now, okay? We have a jump squat. We go down, touch our chest, and tuck jump, okay?
Let's go.
All right, go. Excellent. Go. Go. You guys are making great time. Let's do 2 more, okay? Get ready and go. And one more. Let's make it the best one now, okay? Everybody ready? And go. All right, great job. And that's round 2. That's kind of almost the granddaddy of them all. We're taking the most basic motion that we can think of for fight training, vertical to horizontal with all explosion. You pretty much get the same feeling as a grueling round in a fight, huh?
Absolutely. When you fight, you need to be able to explode at any moment. Especially, for example, when you go for a takedown, for like an attack to the leg, like a double leg takedown. Sometimes you cover up, you strike with the guy. When you're ready, you go for an explosion at a double leg takedown. Same thing right here.
Yeah, that was great. And you guys can see George's explosion is pretty impressive. But everybody did a great job. That was excellent.
Maybe my explosion is good, but my talking is not very good right now.
It's okay. That's what we want. We want you fatigued. Okay, guys, so let's go and get ready. We're going to get ready for our next round, round 3, and we're going to use some light dumbbells here, okay? It doesn't need to be anything heavy. George, why don't you grab those 10s, Mike 10s.
Let's do it.
Lisa 5s. Okay, guys, now we're going to start off. Remember, it's not about how many repetitions. It's the quality of the repetition, okay? So let's go and get in stance here, all right? I'm going to mimic like I have some dumbbells. We're going to be bouncing. We're going to do our punch press to start. And go. 2. Shooting for 5. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, good. Now, going to lower the dumbbells down by your side. Now, remember, guys, we just take a little break here. You can kind of shake out your shoulders. Kind of hang around there. If you feel that doing a jump squat with the dumbbells is going to be a little bit too heavy for you, it's okay. You can drop them down, but I really want you guys to hold those dumbbells, okay, if you can. Let's get ready now, okay? Get in the stance, feet shoulder width apart, and jump squat. Land, stand, reset, get ready, and go. 2. Okay, we're going to do 5 of these, okay? Get ready, and go. 3. Good job, everybody. Okay, let's get ready and go. 4. Excellent. Okay, let's get ready now. Last one. Let's make it the most explosive one. Okay, and go. 5. Excellent. Okay, let's everybody set down the weights. Get them out the way. And we have the low shuffle coming up, all right? It's very important. We want to try to get that thigh parallel and keep it parallel. If you have to raise up, that's okay, but let's try to stay down and go. 10 reps. Alternate arms. That's it. Stay down low, George, down low, lower, lower, just 10 times. Okay, good. Okay, guys, now take a few seconds, shake it out, stay loose, and let's grab those dumbbells again, okay? Get ready. We're gonna go right back to the punch press.
It's important if you work out at home on the floor, make sure you have shoes to reduce the impact while you're jumping.
Yeah, we're using nice soft mats here, guys. Okay, let's get ready now, bouncing, and go, punch. Good. Remember, pop that hip, guys. 2. And 3.
Let's go through it.
And 4. Good, Lisa, try to get full rotation there. And 5. Excellent, guys. Let's lower down those dumbbells by the side. Shake it out a little bit if you need. Bounce around, stay loose. Okay, let's everybody go and get in the stance now, okay? Remember, we want big explosion. You can shrug as you're coming up, okay? Let's get ready and go. 1. Okay, kind of get yourself relaxed, focus, recharge, and go. 2. Okay, get ready and go. 3. Excellent. Okay, 2 more to go, guys. Let's get ready. Go. 4. Okay, and 1 more now. Let's get ready. Go. 5. Okay, set the dumbbells down again. We have the low shuffle. Now, guys, let's slow this one down a bit, okay? The last one we took off a little bit too quick. I want here, here, here. I want you to stay there. Stick it, okay?
Yes, sir.
10 reps. And go. A little bit slower, George. Slow it down. Stick it. Stick it. There you go. Good. Just 10 reps. Okay, excellent. Okay, guys, doing good. Shake it out a little bit. Let's get ready now, okay? We have our last round coming up here, okay? Okay, let's go. Go and grab your weights. 5s for you, 10s for you, George. If you guys feel you need to go down in weight, that's totally acceptable. You don't have to feel you have to stick with the weight. If you start fatigued, no big deal. Okay, let's get the dumbbells up. In proper position, we're bouncing. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Punch. 1. Punch. 2. Punch. 3. Explode, guys. We have 2 more, okay? Punch. Good. 4. Last one, punch. Good. 5. Okay. Dumbbells down by the side. It's okay. No. You're keep the dumbbells in hand, George. Just down by your side. Okay, let's get ready now. We have our jump squats, okay? So remember, guys, this is our last set of jump squats here with our dumbbells. Let's really explode. Let's get after it, okay? And jump. 1. Get ready. Jump. 2. Good job. Let's get ready now. Jump. 3. Focus the mind. Let's really concentrate. Get ready. 4. Go. Yeah, that's it. And the 5th one. Let's go. Really explode, guys. And go. 5. All right, let's set the dumbbells down. Now, you guys aren't going to like me here, okay? I'm not going to let you off too easy. We're going to push a little bit harder now. So let's get ourselves in position. Now, you can go fast this time, okay, George, the way you've been going. But we have 30 seconds left all the way through, all right? Not for repetitions. This one's the time. Let's go. Get after it, guys, and go. Try to stay low. If you start fatiguing, you have to come up. That's okay. But if you can, try to stay down low down here. 15 seconds. Faster, guys. Speed. 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 Come on, George. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Good job. That was excellent work, everybody. How you feeling, George? You feeling okay?
Whoa! Feel like I'm gonna die, but it's okay.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's true. Yeah, you'll find that the low shuffle, I actually learned that when I was training in Thailand. A guy named Apade Fairtex is one of the best fighters in Thai boxing a long time ago, and he said that's a great way to increase the power of your kicks. So you might actually find an increase in kicking power because of that. And all these other motions too, the punch press, everything like that. It's all explosive, but it all mimics the movements you see in fighting. It makes you quicker, makes you faster, makes you stronger.
The key is to be able to explode at any moment and during the fight.
Yep.
No matter if it's at the end of the round, the beginning, if you're tired or not, you're able to give that extra push.
Okay, George, let's go ahead and grab those 30s now, okay? Now we're gonna go a little bit heavier, guys. I think Mike's gonna go some 20s, George with some 30s. We're gonna get ready for our dumbbell power clean, okay? Round 4 is about to start, so let's go and get in the stance, everybody, okay? Now, in stance, let's go. We're gonna fold over and explode. Clean. Good. Stand, lower the weights down. Get ready and clean. Good. It's okay if your feet leave the ground. If you want to keep your feet on the ground, that's all right. Let's get ready and clean. Good. We have 2 more. Only 5 reps. 5 reps or less. That's the key. Explosion. And go. Good. We have 1 more here. Let's get ready, guys, and clean. And keep it up. We're going to keep it up top here now, okay, guys? Everybody up top. We're going to do the push press, all right? So we're just going to dip and explode. Look down as you press up. And go. Press. And there you go. And the reason why we're looking down like that is we're trying to clear out some space in the scapula here, okay? We get a better extension. And go. That's it. You got 3 more. Go. Good. Tighter elbows there, Lisa. All right. And go. We have 1 more to go. And go. All right. Great job. Let's set those dumbbells down, okay? And we have our forward bounding with 2 legs. All right, everybody in position. We're going to jump in this direction. And go. Distance, rotate, and get ready. Go. Okay, rotate, turn around, and go. Excellent. Rotate, come around, and go. All right, we have 1 more to go. Come on, guys, and go. Okay, now get yourself ready. Now, if you have to go down in weight, that's totally acceptable, okay? I don't know how you're feeling, George. You want to grab those 25s there, you can. If you feel good with the 30s, let's go for it again. Remember, guys, just 5 reps. We're not doing this for the maximal amount of reps per set. We're trying to get the maximal amount of explosion per rep. It's different, okay? That's what makes it plyometric. It makes it explosive. Okay, let's go ahead and get in the stance now. And go. Clean. Good. Down and back over. Clean. Good. 2. Okay, and go. Excellent. Okay, let's do 1 more.
The pull doesn't come from the arm, it comes from the legs, everyone.
And go. That's a great cue, George. That's very true. Remember, the arms are just punching forward. And go. Okay, keep them up top now. We have the push press, okay?
Legs.
And it's a dip and explode, okay? And go. Try to look down when you press up, George. And go. Okay, good. And go. 2 more and go. Good. And Lisa, try to look down when you press up. Last one and press. Okay, dumbbells down. Let's get ready for our forward bounding, okay? Okay, so we're going to face this way. Let's get ready on my cue to cover some distance now, okay? We're going to try to jump out, stick that landing, and jump. Stick it, turn, take your time with the turn, and get ready, jump. Good, 2. Turn around, face me, and jump. Excellent, 3. Let's turn the other way now, and jump. 4, okay. Let's turn, face this way one more time, and explode, guys. Jump. Excellent. Okay, let's go and grab our dumbbells. We have one more rotation here, okay?
Let's do it.
Good, dumbbells by the side. And we're gonna fold over, we're gonna pop up, boom, catch those weights. Okay, let's go, guys. And number 1, go. 1, dumbbells back down, and go. 2, dumbbells down, go. 3, and go. 4, and go. 5, all right, dumbbells up here. All right, get ready, and go. Press. Yeah, look down.
Push with the legs.
And go. Okay. And go. 3, we've got 2 more. Go. That's it. And go. All right. Dumbbells down now. Okay, let's get ready. Last set of bounding, all right? Let's get after it now. We have 20 seconds. Let's go. And jump. Turn, face the other way. Jump. Good. Turn and face. Jump. Excellent. Turn, face the other way. Go. Last one, facing me, and go. Excellent. All right, guys, right at the buzzer. That was 5 minutes. Excellent work. How you feeling, George?
Feels like I'm in championship round right now. Oh yeah, that's what you guys need. There's nothing easy, it doesn't come easy, but the result will be there at the end.
Now, if you guys noticed, when we were doing that workout, he's not doing necessarily a lot of repetitions, but it's how he's doing the repetition. You can see there's genuine fatigue on everyone's face. This is the real deal. And you have to remember that we don't want you just going like this when you're doing your jump squats. We want that explosion, but obviously you're not going to cover as much distance as George, most likely. If you can, that's great, but just do your best. Okay, guys, now what we're going to do in round number 5 coming up is we're going to combine the first 2 motions of round number 4. We're going to do a power clean and then a push press, okay? And 2 new exercises. So let's go and grab those dumbbells. Get ready. So we combine those motions. If you want, you can pause at the top and then hit your push press or do it all together. But guys, when I say 1, that means do the whole thing, but work at your own tempo, okay? Let's get ready and go. Good, 1, and down, and go. 2, good. At least try to look down when you hit your push press, and go. 3, good. Okay, let's get ready, and go. 4, great job.
Push with the legs, everyone.
Yeah, use those legs. Okay, and last one, number 5, go. Yeah. Let's go set our dumbbells down. We want to squat those dumbbells down. We don't want to just bend over. We actually want to put them on the mat, okay? All right, let's go and get ready now. In our stance here, we have our fencer's lunge, and go. Lunge. We're going to turn, face the other way, go. Face the other way, and go. Face the other way, go. Good. Turn and face, go. That's 5. 5 more, go. Good, and go.
This is good when it's time to blitz the guy.
Yep, exactly. It's like the blitz. And go.
Take down, blitz, everything.
And go. 2 more, and go. And 1 more, go. Okay, now we have our lateral bounding, all right? Trying to cover height and distance, side to side, stabilizing on 1 leg. Let's get ready and go. Side to side. Work at your own tempo here, okay? Try to go side to side. Stick the landing. You can kick the leg behind, or you can touch your leg. Just 10 repetitions, guys. Yeah. Okay, good job. Now take a little break, shake it out, get your body, your mind regrouped for what's about to happen. Okay? Everybody feel okay? All right, let's go ahead and grab those dumbbells again. And remember, you can do a pause at the top, then push press, or you can do it all together. I don't mind, okay? Either way. Let's get ready. Go! 1, lower down, and go! 2, good. And go! That's it. You have 2 more repetitions, okay? Go! Okay, and guys, let's try to get a little bit more over the weights, okay? So we really extend that hip, and go! All right, good. Dumbbells down, and get in stance for your fencer's lunge, okay? So we're facing this way, facing out towards the bags over there, pushing off the left leg, and go! Lunge, turn, face, go! 2, go! 3, go! 4, go! 5, go! 6, go! 7, 3 more, go! 8, go! 9, go! 10, okay guys. And we have our lateral bounding, all right? So here in position, work at your own pace, 10 repetitions. So it's 1, 2, 3, like that, and go. Okay, excellent work. Everybody relax, shake it out.
One more round.
Yeah. This is a difficult circuit, okay? So let's go ahead and get ready now.
Let's finish strong, everyone. Let's go.
Let's bring those dumbbells up.
Everything you got on this one. Like your life is depending
so guys,
on it.
I'm noticing that what's happening is that we're getting a little bit too vertical on our clean. Let's try to get a little bit more over when we start, okay? Really release that hip. Catch and stand, okay? So each time we want to get the chest over the legs, all right? Get ready and go. Good. Go. 2. Go. 3. Notice how George is letting out that air. That's natural. That's good. Don't be afraid to do that at home, okay? Get ready and go. 4. We have 1 more, okay, guys? Let's
Everything
focus.
you got.
Everybody ready? This is our last clean and press. And go. All right, good job. Set those dumbbells down. We're going to get in position for our fencer's lunge, okay? Remember, we want to go across the mat, not up. We want to go across. And go. Good. Turn, face, go. 2, go. 3, go. 4, go. 5, go. 6, go. 7, go. 8, go. 9, 1 more, go. 10, okay guys, now in position, this is our last exercise, okay? We're gonna go back and forth, stick it, back and forth, okay? Everybody ready? And go. 10 reps, really explode. Come on, George, more distance, buddy. 3, 2, 1. Time. Alrighty, great job. And that's it. That's round number 5. It's a great job. Everybody putting a lot of work, and I'm sure if you're at home, if you did even half of what they did, you're probably dead tired right now, and that's good. Now, what you have to remember is that the whole idea behind this, remember, I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again. You're focusing on doing things very explosively. It's the quality of the repetition, not the quantity, okay? So you want to make sure that as you're doing this, you're putting in an honest effort, because if you just cheat your way through it and go nice and easy and don't really explode when you hit those reps, you're not going to get the effect that you're looking for. And that's pretty much all I can tell you, is that this is intensity, pure intensity. Is what you want to do. You want to give it your all. You want to feel at the end that you can't do anything else. And maybe the cool down and that's it. And the cool down, you're probably going to be like, thankful that you even made it that far.
Yeah, these exercises, you don't have to pace yourself at all. You let it all out from the beginning to the end, all right? It's not an endurance workout. This is made to improve your explosiveness. That's why it's designed for. That's why Eric designed this exercise for. So it's important, maximum and intensity from the beginning until the end.
What do you think, George?
Everyone can be proud of yourself if you achieve this. Congratulate yourself and tell you if you did great today, tomorrow you'll do even better. Excellent job. Super, everyone. Great job. Just finished our workout. Now it's time for the cool down.
The cool down, it's very important. We're not going to do a long cool down sequence, but the exercises, they're pretty much what they're doing is resetting your neuromuscular system so that you can go back into your daily life without having your muscles cramp and tighten up. We're really going to stress a lot of the muscles around our hips, okay? That's where we did a lot of work. Also our lats, our shoulders, our chest, pretty much the whole body, but we're going to do the most effective stretches that we can do in the shortest amount of time. This routine should take no more than 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes, okay? So let's go ahead and start down here on our left knee. Right knee up, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch the hip flexor. So I'm gonna contract my abdominal muscles, trying to tuck my glutes right up here up underneath me, trying to tilt my pelvis under. Then I'm gonna reach my left arm straight up in the air, fingertips pointing out towards the left. And I should feel the stretch coming right in here. Now we just wanna lift our chin up while maintaining this contraction, all right? Looking straight ahead, contracting in the abdominals, glutes, stretches right up here in the front. If the arm goes forward, because you have tight lats, try to force it up there in the air, okay? We have about 10 more seconds, so just hang in there. Good.
Really feel the hip flexor
The hip flexor
here.
Exactly. Okay, great. Now we're going to come up. We're going to turn, face the other way, lower down to the right knee. Take your time here now, okay? Let's go ahead and set everything in position. So we're going to contract the abdominals and the glutes and press straight up. And we're holding here for 30 seconds. Now 30 seconds is pretty much the minimum here. We just want to do at least 30 seconds to make sure we stretch out the body. But if you find you're enjoying this, don't be afraid to go back through this routine, do it 1 more time, 2 more times, as much as you want. These are great stretches. You really can't get enough of these.
There is a lot of benefit to gain from stretching.
Okay. Now let's come up here. Now, you can do a butterfly stretch, which Patrick is going to demonstrate, or you can just lower right down here into the side straddle. Everybody's flexibility is different, but if possible, we just want to try to split our legs out here, keep the posture upright, and then we want to go forward. You see, the variation that Patrick's doing is working the same muscles. We're trying to stretch the adductor muscles right here in our inner thigh, okay? What I'm trying to do is I'm basically just pushing out, so is George, and we're trying to go forward if we can. We want to lie down flat here. Again, holding each stretch for 30 seconds.
I remember when I used to be a kid, I used to go all the way down. Now as I'm growing up, getting older, it's impossible to do the same thing because I didn't practice enough.
Okay, good. Now let's close up here. Legs straight ahead. Now what we want to do, remember, we just don't want to touch our toes. We want to pull our toes back towards us, contract our quadriceps, sit nice and upright, fingertips pointing down. We're pushing forward with the heel of our palm. If you find that to be too difficult by going forward like this and it's way too much, you can just do this. Just brace your hands right here by your hips, push up, try to keep your posture upright, still pulling your toes back, still contracting your quadriceps, and just trying to eventually lean forward. Once you can break 90 degrees going forward, you can probably take your hands off and push forward.
Really good for the posterior chain.
Exactly.
Hamstring, calf, lower back. This is what you need to do.
Okay, now let's turn to our right. I'm going to kick my left leg around here, bring my right leg in. Now if you notice, I stick my knee straight out from my hip and I form a 90-degree angle here, a 90-degree angle here. Now what I want to do is I want to try to go forward, putting my head all the way down to the ground. Everybody has a different flexibility level though, so the key thing is to try to lean towards your left on the stretch. If your left leg's back, lean towards your left, even if you have to stay upright. If you can lower down all the way, that's great. If you're right here, that's fine. This is for the extensors. This is for the muscles on the outside of the hip. A lot of jumping, kicking, all those motions, we've really worked those muscles. Pretty much anything functional, you're using the extensors and the flexors. And now let's rotate around. So this is kind of cool. We're gonna lean to our right and swing to our left, and we come right back this way. Take your time getting into position though. So Again, you want your left knee in front of your left hip. You want to try to create a 90-degree angle here, a 90-degree angle here. And same thing, try to lie forward. And if you have to, you don't have to push forward. Remember, you don't want to feel any type of tearing or real strong pulling. Just a slight pull in the muscles. And the muscles that we're trying to feel are the muscles right outside here, okay? Some people might feel it a little bit up in the back. You shouldn't be feeling it all over. Some people might feel a little bit of hamstring. For the most part, you want to feel it on the outer part of your left hip here. Trying to lie down.
Always a side that you're more flexible than the other. That is completely normal.
Okay, now we're just gonna kick back and through underneath. So we're in the quadruped position. So if you notice, we start out here with our knees right underneath our hips, right? And what we're gonna do, and our hands are underneath our shoulders, we're just in a strong foundation. We're gonna extend our right hand forward, then our left hand forward. Now what I want you to do is drop your butt back while keeping your fingertips out there. Try to touch your butt to your heels and trying to get your armpits down to the ground. Once you do that, you're trying to inch your fingertips away as much as you can. And when we're doing this, we want to feel the stretch coming right down throughout the lats, okay? Some people find if they spread their knees out here, they also get a adductor stretch here as well. That's good. You just, get more flexibility in there. I happen to have loose adductors, so I don't feel anything in the adductors, but I have tight lats. This really stretches my lats every time.
You're really lucky. Me, I'm tight pretty much everywhere.
Okay, guys, great. Now we're going to come up here into this kneeling position. And what we want to do is we want to put our knees together, our heels together. We want to sit back here under our butt. We're going to interlace our fingers behind our back here. The most important thing is that I start to straighten my arms. That's more important than how high they get. Is that first they get straight, then I retract my shoulder blades, meaning I try to pull my shoulder blades together. Once I do that, I raise up as high as I can. And I want to feel stretched throughout my biceps, my deltoids, my pectoral muscles, all of that. And there's almost an infinite amount of stretches, but we don't want to spend all day stretching. You guys just did a hard workout, so we just want to, hit some of the ones that really get the body back to where it was before you did your workout. Good, Patrick. George is very tight here, so this is a great stretch for him.
Absolutely.
Everybody else has good flexibility.
I should do this stretch more often.
Yeah.
Don't be scared that if you do something that you're not good at, that's mean you need to work on it. Like you can see this stretch, I'm pretty bad at it. That is something that I should put more time into.
Okay, buddy, that's time, and that concludes our cool down. So you have to remember that the cool down, although it seems like it's easy and it's almost like it's the part of the workout everybody wants to forget to do. We did all the hard stuff, we warm up because we want to get ready for the hard workout. Then we do the cool down, but sometimes we forget to do it. Remember, don't forget the cool down. It's going to allow you, it's going to help you to recover and to come back so you can be consistent and work out on a regular basis. It's very important that you do all parts of the workout and you try to be as consistent as possible because that's what leads to progress. If you just, come in on occasion and you do maybe a round or two and then, you skip a few days, you're not going to see the results that you're looking for. The results are going to come through consistency. That's the most important thing. And the consistency is given to you by allowing your body to recover properly, which is why we do the cool down.
And also the cool down is not only physical. For me, I use the cool down as a way to change my mind. I start from being the athlete, George St. Pierre, the fighter. When I work out, I'm the fighter. I'm a martial artist. But the cool down allowed me to make the transition by being the fighter to the everyday normal guy. So it's more than an actual workout. It's also the changing of your mind, putting your mind back into what it should be in everyday's life. Great job, everybody. Hi everyone, I'm Georges St. Pierre with Eric Owings, and we are here today to explain to you the RushFit foundation movements.
The foundation movements are, well, they're our foundation. So we don't want to just rush through this segment and think that these movements aren't necessary and you just want to hop into the workouts. It's actually very important that you spend time focusing on these basic foundation movements and then go into the workouts. If you've mastered the movements in this segment, you're going to find that you're going to be able to perform everything with ease. Well, not with ease, but with competency. And by doing that, you're going to be able to progress and reach your fitness goals, whatever they may be. So it's very important you take time, you watch, you learn, and then you spend time mastering them. You don't need to use a lot of weight. Some of the movements are just body weight. Some require dumbbells. But it's going to be very important that you take your time and that you make sure that your body's in proper alignment. Pay attention throughout the concept of core activation, the concept of good posture, of doing everything with correct form, minimal amount of weight, and then add weight as you feel necessary. If you do these movements correctly, you're going to find understanding the future DVDs are going to be a piece of cake.
We all train for different purposes, but make sure we get those movements right.
Okay, everybody, let's talk a little bit about the squat. The squat's one of the most fundamental motions that you're ever going to do in exercise and fighting and anything. I think almost everything that you do almost always has a component of changing your level up and down. So whether the person says level change, whether they say shoot, sprawl, whatever it is you're doing, almost always there's a little bit of a bend here. So we want to develop this to the fullest capability. That's why we include squatting. You see a lot of squatting in this program. And in the beginning, you might notice that your range of motion is not so good, but eventually it will increase as long as you take your time and kind of work within your own limits. And eventually you want to get to what is considered full range of motion, which is a parallel thigh to the ground and an upright posture. So if you notice when George comes down, George, if you can, squat down and hold the squat here. If you notice, George is pretty much settling into his heels. His knees aren't far past his toes, and he's sitting back like he's sitting down into a chair. Then he comes back up in the standing. Yes, I'm going to do a few reps, George. Let everybody see you doing the reps. And hold again at the bottom, George, if you can. Come back down. Good. Yeah, right there. And like I said, if you notice parallel thigh, and then he starts to come up. Now, if necessary, the modification, if you're having a tough time, or you can stop, George, is going to be just to go a little bit more shallow. But what we don't want to see is we don't want to see the knees buckling in. This is a definite no-no. We want the knees coming out, okay? If necessary, you can widen your stance a little bit. So you don't want a narrow stance. Remember, shoulder width, toes are slightly to the outside, just a little bit, okay? We're not going really wide, just a little bit to the outside. And what you want to do is your arms come up as you sit back. So you have to kind of sit back. Imagine you're sitting into a chair. And if you're having a tough time, you can always put a chair behind you. But if you find that even you lose control, like you get here and you almost fall over, you fall back, that's totally okay. What you want to do there is you want to go a little bit more shallow, then stand. And eventually work your depth down till you get the parallel. So we're going to do a couple more, George. Let everybody see the full range of motion. Yep, then up, one more. And this is a motion that, okay, George, you can relax. For George, this is extremely important for any fighter, for any athlete, for anybody almost, is the ability to go up and down with control of the core, with complete stabilization here in the body, being able to maintain this here all the way down to there. This is an essential motion for life, no matter whether you're fighting or just going about your daily routine.
Absolutely. It's a movement pattern that happens every minute of every fight.
And that's the squat. The lunge is one of the most essential motions, probably next to the squat. It's a little bit more complex, so there's a few more things we have to pay attention to. The squat, for most people, is a basic movement, whereas lunging, we're actually going forward, to the side, backwards, or crossing behind. There's basically 4 ways that we're going to do this. So George, if you can go in all 4 directions, let's go 2 to the front, then 2 side to side.
The knee doesn't touch the ground when you go in the front.
And backwards.
You see, my knee doesn't touch the ground.
And the cross back variation, where we go side to side. So we try 4 different variations, even though George has a good range of motion here. He's doing everything the proper way. And George, if I can just have you stop for a second and go out there into the lunge and lower it down. And you can lower down. George is going to let his knee touch here just to relax his leg muscles, but normally he's not going to let his leg touch. If anything, we're just going to kiss the ground. It's just going to touch and come back up. Now, if you notice here, George, although he comes out, he comes forward, he's not driving his knee forward. He actually steps, he takes a natural step forward, and then he just sinks his weight down into his heel. That's very important. What we don't want happening is this, and then I keep going forward, and I feel a stretch here, like this is like a tearing sensation. Also, this puts a lot of stress on the knee. So I want to keep my foot on the ground, and then as I take this natural step forward, I go here, then I just lower down, okay? We want to maintain good posture. Sometimes we include a touchdown. That's totally acceptable. And the same thing, now if we come up, George, if we go to the side, notice how the knee doesn't go forward, you actually sit back. You sit back under your heels, and the arms act as a counterbalance here. Or you can touch down. If we move backwards, that's good. And if we go backwards here, same thing. We go back, and then I sink down into the heel of the front leg. And if I go to the transverse of the cross back lunge, I come here. My front leg, I sink down into the heel and up. Now, each one of these lunges, we go in different directions because, well, our body can move in different directions. We don't want to develop strength in just one range of motion. We want a variety of movement patterns that give us more balance throughout our body. And would you say this is pretty similar to what you do when you take someone down, when you shoot him for a takedown?
Yeah, absolutely. Not only, I would say, the takedown, the changing level, the footwork, even the most basic stuff that we do in mixed martial art, we use lunges in a certain way.
And you'll find at home, say if you have a hard time going all the way out into this position, you feel that you lose your balance and you're having a tough time, the best thing to do here is go a little bit wider with your stance, take a natural step forward, and then you're just going to do what we call a split squat. So it's a variation. We're not lunging, we actually stay in stance. So you can stay in stance and just touch down or just stay up here and you come up. And if you find you have to restrict your range of motion a bit, that's totally acceptable. But what you don't want to do is come out here where you feel like you're falling and your knees are shaking and you're losing balance. So same thing with a lateral lunge. If I had to just stay here, I can do a stationary movement and restrict the range of motion a bit. But you want to try to get to where you do the full range of motion and include the movement patterns. But if you have to, you can stay stationary, do say 5 reps, 10 reps, how many ever is necessary from a stationary position. Then you switch, come into a stationary position, and it'll look just like this. That's the modification if you're having a tough time, and that's the lunge. The push-up is one of the most basic upper body exercises we can do. It requires no equipment, and you can almost do it in any space. If you just have a tiny little space in your living room, your bedroom, wherever, you can always do some push-ups. Now, the key to a push-up is maintaining good alignment of the body. So I should almost be able to transfer the same exact stance that you see here standing right to the ground. We don't want to be caved in here but too high. We want to think about almost a line that forms if you do it straight through the body, your ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle, going straight through. Once the deviations start to occur, that shows that your core stability is now, it's malfunctioning, and you're going to have to make a modification. We'll show some modifications, but let's first take a look at how it's performed correctly. George, let's go ahead and do a couple push-ups here, okay? Just a normal standard push-up. Notice how George has a great alignment here with his body. It's straight through, and that's because George has a strong core. By having a strong core, he's able to maintain that position. Now, George can do a variety of push-ups here. Let's do some knuckle push-ups, George. So by changing his grip, he changes the angle, and the angle changes which muscles are working, and he can work different parts of his body just by changing the way that his hands are placed. He can go narrow or wide with his grips. He can go up on his knuckles. That requires more wrist stability. Push-ups have a lot of variations. They have a lot of stuff you can do. Let's show a plyo push-up here. Just show this is an explosive push-up. So it's the same movement, but just performed differently. Okay, great. And go ahead and relax. So that's basically a perfect push-up. Now, if you're having a tough time and you find, like I said, as I come into this position and I get up here and I start doing this, or my head starts coming down, I start breaking my form. The best modification you can make when that starts happening, so maybe, let's say I start off strong. I do 5 push-ups, but then my range of motion starts to get shorter, my neck starts to lead down, my hips start to sag. I want to try to maintain this alignment, and then it's lowered down to my knees. From here, I continue on how I was doing, just off my knees. That makes the resistance much less, and I'm able to do it. If I find that even this, I start to sag and I start to break down, then what I want to do is I just want to lower back, take a break, come back into alignment. So notice that means my shoulders are over my hands, my head's in place, and it's my arms that are bending. I'm stabilizing my body with my core.
Eric, is that fair to say that the push-up also, it works the core and all the body in the same time? It's not only the arm.
Yeah, well, you know, George, it's funny that you asked that, because the thing about the push-up is that it's predominantly a core exercise. And remember, guys, core is beyond just abdominals. It's pretty much everything that's stabilizing with the body. So just maintaining the push-up position is actually quite difficult. If someone just tries to maintain this in good alignment for 1 minute, they'll start to fatigue. And what we're doing is we're adding on the arm exercise to it. So just don't think of a push-up as only a pushing exercise. Think about it as a total body exercise. And that's kind of like the whole thing that we're getting at in functional training. Because for fighting, you have to be able to use your whole body at one time. And in life, pretty much, you have to. Yeah, that's a variation where George is a scapular retraction, and now he's working the backside of his body. All right, great job. And that's the push-up. The sit-up is a very basic motion that I think everybody's probably done once or twice in their life. Whether we even realize, sometimes we just sit up out of our bed. So spinal flexion is really what we can call this, okay? And what we're doing when we do a sit-up is we're trying to use the abdominals, actually use our neck flexors here too. So pretty much think of the spine as not just here in this little area, right? It's the whole entire spinal column. And it's the idea of bringing everything forward. So that idea of flexion is a very essential movement pattern. One of the easiest ways to train this is by doing a sit-up. And you'll see this in the warm-up. So George, let's go and come up, where George starts to raise up in the air. Good. Now, as you lie down, let's bend the knees and do a traditional sit-up. Now, where you take your elbows down towards your hips and you sit all the way up. Just widen your feet out a little bit if you can, George. Good. And these are all good variations. Now, you'll find like throughout a fight, you probably sit up quite a bit, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Like, where you have to get up off the ground if you get taken down?
Absolutely. On the ground and also standing up, I think just a basic punch, sometimes you need to crunch down. And
yeah, kind of cover.
That's when the abdominal comes into play.
And remember, anything like this is spinal flexion, and this is going to require the abdominal muscles to contract. Now, we can overload this pattern by putting a weight in your hands. Just using your body weight sometimes is enough. So there's a lot of variety in how to do this. And you'll find that sometimes for some people a full sit-up can be sort of like jarring on the spine. Sometimes you have difficulty with that. If that happens to be the case, there's nothing wrong with just doing an abdominal crunch variation. The key thing is we don't want to yank the head forward. We just want to kind of put our fingers here, or we can even cross over here. And when we do this, we just bring the shoulder blades off the ground and lower it out. So this is a modification for people who might find the full sit-up to be difficult. You can always do a partial motion. Then eventually, as you get stronger, work yourself into a full range of motion. And that's the sit-up. Now we're going to talk about back extension. Back extension is something that it's very important, actually, in everything in life. All these exercises that we're doing are extremely important, but this is one of those things that if we don't have our extensor, basically the erector muscle of the spine, we're going to collapse. We're going to develop a posture like this. And posture like this is not really good for anything in life, but especially not for fighting, right? I mean, fighting is one of those things you have to have good posture.
Exactly. Plus, it's going to make you have injuries. You know, it's not going to keep your body healthy. It's very important to have a good posture, keep your body healthy, and stay injury-free.
Now, George is just going to show a variation of the back extension. And so you can lower down here, George. You can do the more difficult one, and that's this. That's the opposite. But you can also just do it off the knees, too. So if George goes down, if you notice when he gets up here, so yeah, he's got to activate all this. Now, this has a little bit more to do than just back extension. That has glute activation. Now, here, he's pretty much extending throughout the spine. He's working all these muscles. Now, the glutes work here, too. And this is one of the kneeling opposites, or the prone position opposites, is an advanced form of back extension with also glute activation and various other things. Now, when he goes down, this is pretty much showing, I think, back extension in a more pure form, although we are also encompassing pretty much everything here on the posterior chain. And just, George, if you can tilt your chin in, what's happening is he's pretty much contracting from head to toe all the way down his spine, all the way throughout. And yeah, you can go ahead and relax down, George. So this is one of those movements that although it appears simple, it's actually quite difficult. I mean, you'll find that like if you put this into the circuits and you're just doing this exercise on a daily basis, whenever you do that isometric contraction, what happens is you just, basically lactic acid starts building up throughout the body. But as you do it more and more, you start to develop a tolerance to it and you get stronger and you actually develop better posture where you can stay upright or perform a takedown more efficiently or a guard pass more efficiently. Now we're going to show a modification here. If you're having a tough time doing the full extension with all 4 limbs off the ground, what George is going to do is going to put his head down on the ground and he's going to go 1, then over to his other hand, 2, to his leg now, 3, and then to his other one, 4. You can try to hold each one for about 5 seconds, and eventually you can try to do the line opposites. So George, let's go opposite leg, opposite arm, and you can go side to side like that. Now if you've done the opposites and you've been able to complete, going side to side, now let's try doing everything together. You do all 4 limbs off the ground, so you raise up, George, try to raise the legs off, and what George is trying to do is get everything just pretty much keeping just his abdominals and his thighs on the ground and take everything else off the ground, which causes everything on his back to have to contract, and that's going to give him good back extension and good posture, and that's the back extension. Now let's talk about rotation. You'll find in this program there's a lot of movements that require us to rotate, moving our shoulders around our spine. This is a consistent theme you'll find pretty much throughout fighting too, right? I mean, to throw a punch, to throw a kick, to almost do any type of judo-style takedown, there's almost always a rotational component.
Absolutely, it's a natural movement pattern of the body. You can see this in every movement, every technique in mixed martial art.
And you'll find that as we're doing these rotation movements, sometimes we take a pose where we're just moving our shoulders around our spine, but our spine pretty much stays looking straight ahead. Sometimes we'll follow. So you notice if George is doing now, he's following. Now, George, let's shorten up your range of motion, but let's stay looking straight ahead with no movement from the head whatsoever, just your shoulders moving around. And these are both acceptable forms of rotation. Now, you also notice if George does what we call a prone rotation, okay, from down in the push-up position, just opening and closing. George, you don't have to even pause that long, just pause for about a second. So George is going to rotate. There again, he's rotating around and down, go to the other side, going side to side. And there's also another form of rotation here that you'll see. Actually, there's various forms. You'll notice it's a consistent theme, and you just want to be aware of this, not to overdo it. Don't try to over-rotate. Let your natural range of motion sort of dictate that. Always start with going with a restricted range of motion and gradually building up to where you feel like you're reaching those outer limits, then that's where you want to stop. You don't want to go too far. And George, let's just show the Kimura sit-up. This is another sit-up that you'll see throughout, and notice how he's rotating as he comes up. So here again, we're almost combining the movement patterns, spinal flexion with rotation. And that's one of the things you're going to notice throughout the program is that there's a lot of rotation going on. One of the key things, though, is to make sure that you have your core activated, meaning that your muscles just aren't loose and your spine's not really loose. You want to make sure everything's strong and stabilized. That way, as you're rotating, you're not going to hurt yourself. That's very important. That's also something we're going to talk about is the concept of core activation. But for right now, that covers rotation. Now let's talk a little bit about core activation. Core activation is one of those things that it's actually very complex if you want to talk about it, because you can pretty much, we can get into debate on what part of the core are we talking about. We're talking about the core of the knee and the intrinsic stabilizers inside the knee or whatever little joint. But a consistent thing we're talking about, basically the stabilization of our midsection of the spine. That's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear core activation throughout, and you're going to, pretty much every exercise that we do, it has to be done first. We have to activate the core before we squat. We don't want to have a loose core because then everything tumbles in. So we always have to keep the body active. One of the best examples, the simplest way I can explain this, and for George and for everybody at home, if I were to be in front of George, I'm going to punch him as hard as I can in the stomach. So say if you're in a square stance, George, and you were to activate your core, you were to brace for this punch to the stomach, what would you do? Exactly. Now you saw what happened there. We'll go ahead and do it again. He braces. Now everything here tightens up. That's the transverse abdominis muscle. It's kind of like this little girdle that's tightening everything up. It's activating your diaphragm, your rectus abdominis, all of these muscles around here. Everything's doing its job to keep the spine in place. So, well, in this case, so you can brace for a punch, but also if you were to lift a heavy weight, you'll find almost any movement that you do, That's going to become what you do before you do your movement. Whether you're going to take off running, whether you're going to throw a punch, whether you're going to throw a kick, whether you're going to do a power clean or a squat or anything, you always have to have core activation. Let's just show one more example here, George. Let's go and go down into the plank position. And this is one of those ones that you can kind of almost test if your core is activating just by holding this. Now, George's core is activating. We know this because of the alignment. We have ear, shoulder, hip. Everything here is nice and tight, and George's, he's contracted throughout. One thing if you notice here is that his body's not moving in and out. Although George is breathing, he's definitely, oxygen is going in and out of his body. He's not losing the core activation. This is very essential. You don't want to start breathing, let your body collapse as you're breathing. You want to keep everything in place. And if you can, you try to breathe into the back of the lungs as you're there. Try not to just breathe real shallow. Try to breathe natural, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because this is all contracting. This is restricting the movement of your ribs a little bit, but you still be able to breathe into the back. That's the whole idea. So breathe naturally, yet keep the muscles activated. It's a very important concept that not only for our program, but just for life in general. If you're ever going to pick anything up, if you're ever going to do any activity, this can help you. And that covers the basics of core activation. Okay, now let's talk about the burpee. The burpee is, in my opinion, it's one of those motions that probably best simulates the energetics of a fight. If you do it with an explosive nature and you really go after it, you can get a very intense workout in less than a minute if you just do as many as you can. It's one of those things that, because there's so much muscle being used and there's so much movement involved, that this really accelerates the metabolism and it works pretty much every muscle throughout the body. Let's go ahead and have you show a few burpees, George, just in full speed. Let's do 3 of them. So if you notice, we have almost all those components we talked about. We have, okay, you can go and relax. We have squatting. We have sort of almost like a lunge. We have a plank position. We have core activation. We have jumping. We have a push-up. We have flexion of the spine. We have so much movement going on here. And for some people, well, actually for almost everybody, this is a difficult exercise.
Absolutely. It's raise the heart rate.
Yeah. And it's also pretty similar to a sprawl motion too, right? Like if someone were to try to take you down, it's almost like you're sprawling.
You can say it's like a sprawl and also could be following by a takedown. The same push that you find during a takedown, it's the same push that you use when you come up.
Yeah, so there's a lot of functional transfer, if you want to use that word. It's actually that's actually a great way to describe it. There's functional transfer from this movement into what George does or what most athletes do. Now, for some people, the most difficult part might be the squat thrust. So let's just show the squat thrust component, George, where you just jump back and jump up, okay? Now, if you have a hard time doing that, because see, George he's a strong person and he has good coordination. For some people, that might be a little bit too much in the beginning and the jump at the top. So what I'm going to suggest as a modification, if you're having a tough time doing the squat thrust, because you see squat thrust and burpees throughout the program, is I suggest you do this and sprawling. So this is a great substitution for squat thrust, burpees, and sprawling motions throughout. What I'd like to see you do is this. You just basically come down and try to get your hands onto the ground. You're going to step back with one foot, back with the other, back with the foot, back here, and then stand. That's a fine substitution. You'll find when you get used to it, you can build up speed, and then eventually you can get into the full motion where you hop back and you hop up. And that covers the burpee and the squat thrust. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about addressing the dumbbells. And what I mean by that is how we pick the dumbbell up off the ground. My recommendation for almost anybody, I even do this myself when I train, is to set my dumbbells on something about anywhere between knee to waist height. I prefer a chair or a table, or if I'm at a gym, I prefer like the rack itself. And the reason being is we don't want to come up to our dumbbells and try to pick them up like this. Now, throughout the program, you might notice, because we're doing real workouts, you might notice that happens. You might notice people set their dumbbells down. They are bending the spine. So you can be like, oh, that's a contradiction. But what happens when you have a strong core, you can get away with it. If I do this here right now, like I'm technically in bad posture, and look, I just did it the wrong way. But that's because I have a strong core. I'm able to do that. But if I'm deconditioned and I do this type of motion, I could hurt myself. And that's very important to realize that just because you can get away with it, you should try not to. You should always make it your objective to do everything the correct way. So as you get stronger and stronger, you can make a mistake, but to do it the correct way, this is what George is going to show now. This is how we want you to come down if you're going to pick your dumbbells off the ground. Notice how his back's in a strong, flat, neutral position, and that means his core is activated. Now, if you go up and you set your dumbbells back down, George, same thing. Notice he widens out his stance a little bit, then he drops them down, strong position, and that's how you address the dumbbell. Okay, the dumbbell squat is very similar to the squat that we learned for just basic body weight squatting. It's the same mechanics. The only difference is that now we have resistance added. So George is going to come up, address the dumbbells. He's going to step back, and he's going to set his stance at shoulder width apart. The toes can point slightly outward, but for the most part, his legs are straight ahead. And with his dumbbells by his side, he's just going to squat down and then come back up. And notice how the dumbbells move a little bit out the way. Good posture. Try to get his thighs down the parallel each time. Good. Now, George, if you can, let's clean them up. And now this is what we call a front squat. So it's pretty much the same thing. Notice how he lowers down and drives up. The weights stay high, pushing the elbows forward. And notice how he gets down deep. It's the same thing. So there's two basic variations that we're looking at doing. And that's our basic squat with our dumbbells to the side. And then with our dumbbells up, the front squat variation. These both, basically what we're doing is the same type of squatting motion, like I said, the same mechanics. We're sitting back into that chair. The knees aren't going too far forward. We're activating all the leg muscles, the core muscles, everything throughout. And this makes your legs very strong.
Keep everything straight.
And that's the dumbbell squat. Okay, the dumbbell lunge is essentially the same lunge that we learned before, except now we're just adding resistance. The most common way that we're going to add resistance is just by holding the weights down by our side. Starting off, George, feet together. And let's go and do a lunge. Let's do all four directions, okay? Let's go forward, okay? Then we'll go with our lateral lunge to the side. Excellent. Let's go backwards now. And we'll do our cross back lunge. Okay, so those are four directions. And you'll notice that each one's a little bit different, but yet it's pretty much similar. Let's go back out to the forward lunge again one more time, though. So notice when George comes down here, when he lunges, now George lowered his knee down because that's for what I'm showing you guys. You know, if he holds that there, it actually becomes excruciatingly painful. And so he's taking a little break down here, but normally his knee would not be on the ground. He's just going to be here for a momentary pause, and he comes back. The key thing here, though, is actually how he's putting the weight onto his foot. His weight's not going onto the ball of his foot and his toes, and his knee's not projecting forward. He just steps forward, and he lowers down into the heel.
90 degree.
Yeah, exactly. Get that thigh to parallel, then come right back up into standing, pushing off the ball of the foot, and there it is. He's back into his position. So forward and backwards, and you can go multi-directions. Now, do you like doing multi-direction lunges, George?
I like it because when I'm fighting in every day of life, you know, you're going multi-direction. So it's important that your training reflect what you will perform.
And that's the dumbbell lunge. The dumbbell standing press is one of the best strength building exercises that we have for the upper body. What happens here is we want to maintain, first of all, let's go and bring the dumbbells up, George, to the rack position. This is what we call the rack position, okay? Meaning that we have them racked up top here. Now, very important here is that we don't want George extending at the spine. We actually want core activation. We're that key theme. We want to keep everything here in place. And then, George, let's just press them straight up with your palms facing. That's a basic standing press. Now let's do another repetition with a rotation. That's also an acceptable form of pressing. Yeah, rotating at the bottom. And now let's do a push press, which is an explosive form. Good. And let's do that one more time, George. So standing press, now a basic standing press, just straight up, good. Then rotating, and then the push press, where if you notice, he looks down as he presses up. The reason why he does it, you can even do that in your regular presses too, if you just wanted to develop this habit. What George is doing when he does this, he's clearing out more space back here in between his scapula, so he can actually get better extension on his arms when he does that. So when I look down, I say, but I don't want to stay looking down. As I lower down, I'll look up. Other thing is, you notice George, he's not doing this. He's not sticking his chest out to try to get his chest involved in all these other muscles to use more weight. He's maintaining good core alignment, which actually makes him a better athlete. It keeps him safe, and it gives him real functional strength. It's not an artificial form of strength that we're doing here. He's actually keeping his body in the alignment that it should be in. So, and then he's using the weight that actually suits his body. So remember, don't try to use a bunch of weight here. Don't let your ego get involved into the lift. Try to use just what you can use with good form.
Quality over quantity.
Yes, that's one of the most important concepts. You're going to quality over quantity. And if you get used to doing that, you'll find that eventually the weight will increase. And so with this one, just let it go gradually. A lot of times we get our egos attached to the pressing motions. Like people ask, how much do you bench press? And would you say that that's really even relevant in a fight, how much you bench press?
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so one more thing here, just on the press before we wrap it up here, is that when you do the push press, remember that's an advanced variation. When we do this requires a little bit more explosion. We're using the legs, we're popping the hips. If you find that it's a little bit too ballistic, that maybe you don't feel comfortable doing it, it's totally fine to substitute just a standard press. And that's where we just come up and down, or even looking straight ahead. Very basic. So you don't have to do the push press unless you feel you're ready for that. And that's the basics of the dumbbell standing press. Okay, now let's talk about the dumbbell row. I consider the dumbbell row to be sort of like the yin to the yang or the yang to the yin to standing press. It's sort of like the balancing out motion. And it's a very important motion because we don't really get any type of pulling motion with our body weight exercises. So we want to make sure that we include a pulling motion with the dumbbells. The important thing here is, if you notice, when George comes down, let's go and do a couple stationary rows there, George. Good. 1. Let's do 3 here. 2. 1 more. And 3. And you can come back in the standing. Now, if you notice when George, when he does his row, he sits back with his hips this way, onto his heels with his chest over spine. He does not round. He keeps the back in a nice, strong, neutral position there. Again, remember the concept, core activation. It stays throughout, okay? So the core has to activate. I sit back here, and then I'm in good position. Now, this is a very important motion, so we have to remember, we try to pull our elbows back, and we're pulling with our elbows. That activates our lats, our rhomboids, our traps, all these muscles that make our backs very strong and allow us to do this motion. We have to use those. The biceps, the forearms, everything here, it is activating as well. But remember, we want to pull with the elbow. Now, George, let's show a rotational row. This is where he's actually going side to side. And let's go and get, some spinal rotation going on there. Good. Now, if you notice, it's the same motion. Now he's just alternating arms, but still the same strong back position. The core is activated, and he's moving the elbows around the spine. All right, George, now let's go ahead and go down into the prone position. Oh, no, okay, actually, let me grab one of these and just do a 1-arm, 1-leg row. Yeah, let's check that out. Now he's doing the same type of row, but now he's on, it's much more, this is an advanced variation. Now, if George wanted to modify this because, say, balance were an issue, let's say you're having a hard time doing that, George, just put your foot down. There again, try to stay bent over, good, and row. And you could even brace your hand on your knee there too, George. Yeah, that gives him more stability. Okay, so that's an easier modification when you see a 1-arm, 1-legged row. And let's do 1 prone row, George. So put the dumbbells down here in front of you and out into this position. And we're just going to go side to side a few times. So now he's in that push-up type position. And notice he's pulling, he sets the weight down, he's going side to side.
My core is working as well.
Yeah, this is activating his core to the extreme. Now what we want here too, now George, let's lower down to the knees. Let's say George fatigues and he wants to continue on rowing, but his core it's gotten tired. This is a great modification to make. If you find that type of prone row becomes too difficult, you can always lower down to your knees. That makes it a little bit easier on the core, and you can still get that rowing motion in, which is a very important motion. And that's the basics of the dumbbell row. Now let's talk about the exercise upright rowing or high pulling, or I should say, because they're not exactly the same, but it's a similar movement pattern. Let's first look at the upright row. You'll notice this is a movement throughout. Now, the upright row is basically George in just a natural stacked position. Stacked meaning ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. Nice natural posture. He's using the trapezius muscles, the deltoids, the biceps, everything here, and he's pulling upward. Notice how the elbow comes up higher than the wrist, and he's just activating all of that, pulling up. Now, that's our basic movement pattern. Now, George is going to do a little bit more advanced. George, you can actually just use 1. You don't have to even use 2 here. Now, let's do a high pull. Now, the difference with the high pull is this is leading into the Olympic lifts. He's using his legs. He's popping his hip, driving with his legs, and then using that to help pop it up. And it's more of a leg exercise, and the arms are just activating towards the top. They're both great variations. Now, if you notice, that the high pull is a little bit complicated. You can always substitute back with our basic that you saw there, which is just the upright row, whether it's with one dumbbell or with two dumbbells. And then if you feel comfortable, we use our legs. And if you notice, hey, George, can we do it just a couple more times? I just want to show one more thing here when you do it. And if you notice, when George does this motion, look at his spine. His spine is nice and strong. His core is activated throughout, and that allows him to connect his legs to his arms.
The actual work is more with the leg than the shoulder, actually.
Yes. That's kind of like with a punch or a kick, too, right? I mean, like almost everything that you do, it's more from the hips and the coordination.
Our legs is the strongest part of our body. The legs are much more stronger than the arms, so that's why we use the leg for everything that we do.
And that covers the basics of the dumbbell high pull or the upright row. Now we're going to talk about the dumbbell clean or the dumbbell power clean. Olympic lifting, in my opinion, is what we're all kind of building up to with, with athletic training and weightlifting. I think that's the main value of weight training for a fighter. Would you agree?
I agree, and that's one of the reasons why I implement Olympic lifting movement pattern in my training, because the Olympic lifters are the most explosive athlete in the world, and in my sport, I need explosiveness.
So George a lot of times trains with a barbell, but a dumbbell is a fine substitution. Never feel, like just because you don't have a big heavy weight, we can't get the same effect. Because when you think about what we're doing, whether we're using a barbell, a kettlebell, a dumbbell, whatever it is, we're essentially doing a jumping motion. This concept of triple extension of the ankle, knee, and hip joint like this. That's what people are doing with it. So George, let's go ahead and jump up. Yeah, let's show that a few more times. So that's what it looks like without, and really jump off the ground and really exaggerate it. And so if you notice, what an Olympic lift is, essentially we're projecting the weights upward, right, with this shrug, with this type of movement pattern, kind of like we're jumping up off the ground. But because we have heavy weights, we don't really jump. A lot of times we stay planted on the ground. Then as I land, I pop my elbows forward, and that gets me underneath the weight. So I'm actually putting myself underneath the weight, then I stand.
We transfer all our energy in the tools that we have, either if it's a barbell or a dumbbell. In Olympic lifting, they use a barbell, but we're going to transfer all the energy of the movement in our dumbbell.
Yes. So let's go and show it a few times with the dumbbell. Let's take a look at the basics here. So the first thing is this, there again, we get ourselves in a nice strong position. You notice George will fold over, but keeping the back in a strong position. Then he'll extend up, and he does the catch. So there's a couple parts. So George, let's just go and stress just the, yeah, good. And if you notice, let's do it one more time. Excellent. And what he's doing there, you can go and set the dumbbells down, George. He's extending here, okay? And remember, as he's extending, it looks like he's just throwing the weights up, but really what's happening is the weights are projecting upward, and as he dips, he punches his elbow forward, and he maintains good position here, and he squats down, he lands on his heels, then he stands, then he lowers. And if you notice, he's not in a rush. He's not doing this and dropping them down. It's very deliberate and slow because it's the explosiveness that he's trying to capture. He's not just trying to throw the weights around and do a bunch of repetitions. He's focusing on good leg drive every time. And another key component to the power clean is coordination. It's very difficult to project a weight in one direction and then drop and switch directions, catch and stabilize. So this is sort of like the epitome of athleticism.
Yeah, and when you drop down underneath, it's like a free fall. You have to let your leg just like a free fall. You let everything go.
So this is one of those motions that you might find almost too complicated in the beginning. And remember, the best way to practice is with no weight. Get used to this motion of sort of jumping, landing, and punching your elbows forward. Then eventually try to shorten the jump where it's just this. But in the beginning, if you find this too difficult, let's take a look at a fine substitution here. So if it's not going to be the same muscle energetics, we're going to lose some explosiveness. We're not getting the same coordination factor, but we're training similar muscles. So if I'm not able to do a power clean yet and I'm practicing just my body weight, I can do this when a power clean and a press or whatever pops up, and a push press pops up into the routine. I'm just going to lower down to a squat, stand, curl. So that's a fine substitution for the clean. Now, if it calls for a clean and press, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to squat, curl, and press. So throughout the movements, you might see that. Throughout the workout, you might see the need for a clean. There's a substitution, okay? We squat and we curl. And if it's a clean and push press, or a dumbbell power clean with a push press, we're going to come here and press. Keeping everything very basic, but still working similar muscles. And that covers the basis of the dumbbell clean. Okay, the dumbbell swing it's kind of like a mix. It's a very functional exercise. It's not as explosive or requires much coordination as an Olympic lift, yet you're integrating the legs with an upper body movement. Similar to the high pull, similar to the power clean, yet I think a little bit more simplistic, but it's a great motion. It develops overall athleticism, I think. George, you want to go and pick up a dumbbell and
Absolutely.
Show us how you do it? So notice George grabs a 30-pound dumbbell, which seems kind of heavy, but it's actually not that bad because he's using his legs. Remember, George is very strong, so you might not be at a 30 yet. You might start with a 5-pound weight, a 10-pound weight, even just your body weight. Now, if you notice as George is doing this, he takes a little pause at the top, right? And as he lowers down, his core is activated the whole entire time, and he maintains alignment here. He's not collapsing. If you notice, one of the key things here is where you look. So if I stay looking straight ahead, as I lower down and I swing up, my spine stays neutral. If I happen to try to follow the weight, I might overextend at the back and hurt my spine here, and I might injure myself if I try following it down. So don't really look at the weight with this one. Just stay looking straight ahead. Nice natural stance. And if you find that, there again, you feel the weight's getting out of control, you feel you might hurt your shoulder, you just don't feel comfortable going all the way up, you can always play with the range of motion with this, meaning I can dip a little bit more shallow, and I can swing not as high. So a substitution for this will be, as I'm here, just barely moving. And then as I feel more comfortable, I can start working my height up, driving my legs down more, to eventually getting into a full swing.
The power comes from his legs.
Yes.
Not from the shoulder. Don't try to lift the weight with your shoulder. It's all the glute, the core, and the legs.
And a key detail to that, if you just want to get that leg drive, is when you go down, try not to push off the balls of your feet. Try to push your heels down into the ground. That activates all of these muscles and it gives you much more power. And that's where the power comes from the hamstrings, from the glutes, from the back. And that covers the basics of the dumbbell swing. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the dumbbell get up. We don't have to use a dumbbell, but it's probably the best variation, especially if you're using this at home. Some people, old strong, used to use barbells, used to use all kinds of big, heavy objects. Even, you could probably even use a human body. Now, the thing about the get up, let's go ahead and show it a few times, George. Its entirety. If you notice throughout, George is keeping his eyes on the weight the whole time. That's very important. Don't discount that and just think he's just doing it for whatever reason. This is one of the most important details you can learn about this whole entire movement. Do not, at any time, take your eyes off this weight. Don't look at the screen. Don't watch us doing it. When you start doing your get-ups, the only thing is you and your weight. Because if you take your eyes off that weight, it's very likely, it could definitely happen, that this weight could come down and hit you. And you don't want to get hit in the head by a dumbbell, especially if you're using 15, 20, 30 pounds or more. It can cause some damage.
Absolutely.
Now, what would you say is the main functional value for you using that movement, George?
I would say when I fight, I use a technique called the hip eyes to stand back up from when I'm under one of my opponents.
So that's pretty much working the same muscles throughout.
Absolutely. It's pretty much the same pattern. The eyes, remember to keep the eyes on the dumbbell. The eyes that directed your movement. So when we're going up, keep looking up. Don't look down. And very important, don't look at us on the TV. You might hurt yourself.
Now let's go and try to break down what's happening with the get-up. We're using no weight here because we're going to have George go very slow. And this is actually a great way to start learning how to use this. No weight in your hand and just looking at the hand that's up. Now let's break down what's happening here throughout, okay? So George his shoulders are working, everything's working. And now his abdominals are working, his obliques are working, the shoulder over here is working as he comes up. Now this is very important. Let's go ahead and stop here now, George. As George comes up, notice how he goes in the opposite direction of the arm that's extended. He comes up and his left arm, so if he's holding the weight with his right hand, or if he's looking at his right hand, his left arm is the base support here as he comes up. So this takes some of the stress off the body and it gives it throughout the structure. Let's stay here for a second, George. Let's come back down. I want to stress leg position. So you notice how when George came up here, the arm that's the post arm, being his left arm, is the same leg that's bent. This is the same position. We do this on purpose when we do our training, because this is what we call the staggered butterfly guard or staggered hooks guard. He's doing this as a very functional transfer into the body. Now, at this point, George has to notice how this knee's up in the air, okay? His foot's down. When he decides to make his move and come up in the stand, he's going to hip heist up, meaning he's going to turn his hips up, and he gets his knee on the ground. And now as he comes up in the stand, he just drives upward. As he lowers back down, he sets his knee onto the ground, and he reverses the whole motion. Notice how as he steps, let's come back here real quick, George. Let's come up. Yeah, notice how when he comes down, he lets his foot flip around and his left arm post onto the ground. Then he lowers down elbow onto the elbow. Then he goes down to the shoulder. Then he lets his leg straighten all the way back out. So as you can see, there's a lot of movement going on, and you can't discredit any one move. You have to make sure that each one's done correctly. So it's very important. This is the most difficult part for people, is this, as I'm here, is getting this knee back, and as a base of support, I want to get it underneath my hip. It's very important as I'm doing this that I don't keep my knee too narrow, because then I'll collapse as I try to come up. So if you find that you can just get to here and that's about all you feel comfortable with, that's a half get up, and that is a fine substitution. So if necessary, you can come up just to the halfway point. So let's do a half get up, George. You notice the description is a little bit longer because we want to be sure that you're doing this correctly. This is a very important motion. So as he comes up, start to drive up and sit all the way up into the post position. There we go. Now that's a half get up. Let's slide back down, George. So you go down elbow, shoulder, line straight, and then back up again, a half get up. Now, if you notice now here, if he's going to do the full get up, he's just basically going to pull his left leg back underneath of him. There he goes. So that gives him a base support. He's going to turn, straighten up the body, come fully into standing, and then he reverses the motion. That's a full get up. He's going to come back down to the knee, fold the left leg in, post the left arm, then lower down, elbow, shoulder, flat on the ground. And that covers the dumbbell get up.